Welcome, travelers, to High Fantasy. I'm Brett. I clapped and I shouldn't have clapped. You got me clapping.
I need my herb pouch. Daddy's been paying for my salt.
This is part of the poop patrol, ma'am.
And I'm Emily. But I'm like, don't make the robots!
Don't make the robots
crunch! I would take Speak with Dinosaur in a second. I have beef with DC. It's a thing. It's a whole thing.
Join us on our epic world-spanning adventures. Armed with only a bit of long-bottom leaf, we will delve into some of the most amazing worlds of imagination that have ever existed. Before we get into that, don't forget to check out our Patreon if you want to support the channel. And without further ado, let's get into it.
You can clap. You can.
Yay! Alright, everybody, welcome back to High Fantasy. I'm Brett.
I'm Emily.
And today we are going to be talking about all kinds of craziness. So, to set the scene for you, we're going to have to go back in time a ways.
Okay.
Time of pharaohs, in ancient Egypt,
Okay.
Pyramids, buildings.
I heard what we were talking about earlier. The topic we were talking about earlier. This is not what I was expecting.
Really.
Come on, Scorpion.
Come on. You don't need to be right there. Thank you. Anyway.
So pharaohs.
So yes, we have to go back, hearken to the time of pyramids and pharaohs, the belief of all kinds of different gods and deities, and I think the world in general just looks very different than it does today.
Okay.
This is the origin of where we're going to start our story. So there was a pharaoh, particular strong pharaoh, named Yami.
Okay.
This pharaoh ruled pretty justly, kindly. A bunch of people liked him.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, he kind of protected his people from a lot of evil spirits at that point in time. As the pharaoh, he had all kinds of religious iconography that helped him in his battle against these dark spirits and these dark forces. Now, some of that iconography could be seen in different depictions that were sculpted of him in the walls. He had, I want to say there were 7 different objects, and they were called Millennium objects.
Okay.
So there was the Millennium Puzzle, the Millennium Rod, the Millennium Eye, so on and so forth.
Millennium Falcon? I said Falcon instead of Falcon. Sorry.
All good. All of these items were basically sources of power that he used to ward off these evil spirits, demons, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Each one kind of had its own purpose and its own special ability, but we can get more into that later. This is kind of just the vagaries of what's going on. Eventually, I believe he ends up getting overthrown.
Okay.
But not before he ends up putting a lot of his consciousness and his spirit into the Millennium Puzzle.
Oh, so it's like one last Millennium item.
Mm-hmm. So the rest of the Millennium items are scattered to the 4 winds. His empire ends up crumbling, as we know, because today there aren't pyramids. Yeah, that dynasty kind of fell, as all dynasties tend to. And a lot of it got forgotten to the annals of time, as people forgot who Yami was, until a young boy working at his grandfather's game shop in current times, we're going to scoot ahead in time a little bit, managed to find a puzzle.
Okay. I see where this is going.
It was kind of just it was something that his grandfather brought back from an expedition because his grandfather had, at the time, been an archaeologist.
Okay.
But no one had ever been able to really solve the puzzle, and it was kind of just an old keepsake that his grandfather had. Eventually, he ends up putting this puzzle together. This is our kind of hero of our story, right? This is Yugimoto. He is pretty young, he's in high school, around 15-ish at this time, I believe. And he is not popular.
He's a little nerd.
He has his hair's kind of crazy, as in all animes they are. But he doesn't have any friends, and that's kind of what he always has been hoping for and wanting as friends. Cue some of the bullies of high school, Joey and Tristan.
Okay.
As they pick on Yugi relentlessly. He's very interested in his grandfather's shop, like he helps his grandfather there, and his grandfather is currently his guardian.
Okay.
So his parents aren't in the picture. At this point in time, we have no idea what's going on with them. But these two guys at school have just been giving him never-ending shit.
Okay.
And not in the fun kind of bully hazing way for the most part. They're kind of jerks. They beat on him.
Oh.
No, it's not great. And they just don't like how happy he seems to be most of the time, and how friendly and naive it bugs them.
You're not as miserable as me, so let me pick on you.
Pretty much. So they kind of end up grabbing a piece of his puzzle from the Millennium Puzzle. I wonder what that, and throwing it into the pool at school.
Okay.
Now, we're gonna take a minute out of the story to fully branch off a little bit here. Into real world, I'm gonna commentate on what's kind of going on, because it's a little hard to understand.
Okay.
The anime Yu-Gi-Oh! And the manga Yu-Gi-Oh! Are very, very different things.
Yeah.
In the manga, his grandfather owns a game shop where they sell all kinds of puzzles, board games, anything and everything that you could imagine an actual game would be. And Yugi's very interested in all of these because he just has a fascination with games. In the anime, it's more about the cards. So the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, the trading card thing, does not exist in the manga, really.
Yeah, you're
kind
saying
of a little
that
bit.
The anime was made to sell cards.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. The anime was made to sell cards. The manga was made to sell a story. And so I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit as we kind of talk about the differences in story and perspective here. The manga was made more for adults. The TV show was made more for children.
Fair.
So a lot of the things that we see happening in the manga, they tried to translate to the anime in a certain regard, but it doesn't translate well.
Yeah, they half-ass translated it because they're like, oh, this really isn't appropriate for children.
Exactly. So in the manga, or in the anime, Joey and Tristan end up getting their crap kicked in by this guy who's a bigger bully at school than they are.
Okay.
Just this hulking man. He's supposed to be a high schooler. It does not look like he's a high schooler.
Okay.
And one of the reasons they pick on other people is because they themselves are being physically abused, like the trials of, physical abuse in high school. Well, Yugi sticks up for them.
Okay.
And he calls them his friends. And he takes a beating for Joey and Tristan from this other guy, because he's like, I tell you what.
This is a Deku and Bakugo situation all over again, and I hate it.
It's really bad. So Tristan and Joey are on the ground, bruised, lumped up, not great. Yugi stands in front of them and is like, stop picking on my friends. Like, I need you to stop. And he's like, I tell you what, Pipsqueak. You take their beating, and I'll leave them alone. So he's like, okay. So Yugi gets absolutely wrecked.
I hate that trope.
By this guy.
It so much.
And Joey and Tristan are like, we've kind of been being assholes.
Yeah, you have, Joey and Tristan.
And so, beaten and not doing great, Joey that night ends up sneaking back into the school to get Yugi's puzzle piece from the pool that he threw it in there, and Yugi hadn't been able to get it back. So, late at night, dripping wet, he ends up showing up at the game store to give Yugi back his puzzle piece and apologize for everything that they've been putting him through. So this is kind of like the supposed to be a little bit of a redemption for him.
At least they turned around and they were nice about it.
He apologizes.
At least he apologizes. Like, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, beating up on somebody, it's really rough, but it's like, at what point, you know, if someone is actively trying to ask for forgiveness, how far do they have to go before you actually do? And I think it depends on each person.
He already stood up for them and called them his friends when all they do is bully him. So
Exactly.
I hate that anime trope where it's just like, my bully is my friend
because
nobody else will hang out with me. It's like,
yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Nobody should have to accept bullying because it's better than nothing.
It's better than being alone. Yeah. It's really sad.
That's hard.
So we see that's kind of how it happens in the anime.
Uh-huh.
And for the most part, I think that's the last we even see of that bully.
Okay. This is just setting up how they became friends. I guess? Okay.
So eventually through the anime, we will see Tristan and Joey, and as they become way better people. They're still the muscle of the group for the most part.
Yeah, but muscle on your side is a lot better than muscle being an asshole to you.
Exactly. Also, just kind of a fun thing, Joey has a Brooklyn accent in the anime.
Brooklyn?
Yeah, he's like, I'm Joey Wheeler. Yeah.
I'm Joey.
Hey, what's up, Yug? Yeah.
I'm Joey. I love how one kid's name is Yu-Gi-Oh! Or what is it?
Yugi.
Yugi, another kid's Tristan and Joey, and then Yugi.
Yep, Yugi Moto is his full name. And then there's just Joey.
Which I guess where is it set? Because when I think of anime, I think of Japanese.
Yes. So it is set in Japan.
So it's set in Japan, but there's Joey and Tristan.
Yep. Which is translated from Jonichi.
Okay.
And I forget if Tristan was actually, like, still named Tristan and it was something else. But they just knew, once again, children, adults.
They're like, we're selling this to American audiences.
Now, let's go back a little bit and let's see what this story looks like from the manga's perspective.
Oh, boy.
So, a lot of the same kind of stuff happens, except it's a lot more physically violent. Instead of just lumps and bruises, it's like almost broken bones. It's really bad. Same kind of thing. Joey ends up fishing the pieces of the puzzle out. He returns it to Yugi and apologizes. Mm-hmm. But this bully at the school is actually crazy. He's got a knife that he brings to school, and they make a big deal about how he, like, is licking the blade, being like, you know what, I might actually kill you guys. Like, I might just kill you for fun.
They made it where the creepy.
And he's been to juvenile hall multiple times, to the point of if he goes back one more time, he's going to be tried as an adult. Oh. He's been held back in school. There's a lot more. It's a lot darker.
Fair.
So, Yugi ends up that night putting the pieces of the Millennium Puzzle together. Mm-hmm. He manages to finally finish it. And as he finishes it, he has a thought to himself, kind of a wish. He wishes for a friend. Because he hasn't ever really had one. And this thing that Joey did was really nice. And it's not that kind of relationship that he's wanted. So, and they will develop that eventually, but that's not right now.
That's the saddest fucking...
So he wishes, he puts it out there to the world. He's like, he wishes for a friend. He finishes the Millennium Puzzle. And the second he puts the final piece in the puzzle, and it's like a 3D puzzle, so it looks like a pyramid.
Okay, yeah.
And he's trying to put it together and figure out how the pieces fit, but no one's been able to do it because they say it's, like, impossible.
Yeah.
To fit this together.
I love those type of puzzles. Those are my favorite types of puzzles.
And he manages to fit it together, and as he does, light fills the room, it's this whole shtick, and a voice speaks to him from the ether.
Oh?
One of regal presence and eminence.
Uh-huh.
This is Yami.
Okay, it's the Emperor again.
The Emperor from ancient Egyptian times. Brought now to the future. Mm-hmm. He has pretty much no memories.
Oh, shit.
And he doesn't really... Like, he and Yugi talk a lot more in the anime than they do in the manga.
Okay.
Because in the manga, at least at the start, he doesn't even really know he's there.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So he'll kind of just pass out
Oh, God.
when Yami is needed, and he'll take over his body.
Okay.
So Yugi, very passive, very timid kind of guy for the most part.
Yami,
not so much.
It's gonna fuck your day.
Not so much. So, basically, he introduces himself, and Yugi passes out.
Okay. That tracks.
Yami has all of Yugi's memories.
Okay.
And generally has his best interests at heart.
Yeah.
But the way he goes about that is a little bit psychotic sometimes in the manga versus the anime.
We love that.
So it's more of like your psychotic friend who does some interesting things sometimes, that's looking out for you and might go threaten someone's life on your behalf.
Yeah, it's like your bestie when you told them that your boyfriend was cheating on you or something. They're like, "Don't worry, girl, I'm gonna kill him."
I got this.
And then she actually goes to kill him.
Yeah,
like,
actually
she
runs
brings
into
the
his car with her. Yeah,
like that sort of friend.
So Joey is in Yugi's mind his friend. This guy threatened his friend with a knife.
Oh.
So Yami shows up essentially to this guy. I think he shows up in school. And he's like, you and me are going to solve this, like figure this out after school. Come to the playground or like the whatever, like in the park, the abandoned, nobody's here at night.
Yeah.
Come there, we'll solve this problem. I have the money that they supposedly owe you. And by owe you, it's this guy shaking them down for their lunch money.
This is the age of no security cameras.
Exactly. So he's like, I've got, and he pulls out a big fat stack of cash. Nobody knows where he got this money, by the way. It just shows up.
It's just there because Yami wanted it to be
Yami's
there.
fucking, nuts. Who knows what Yami's done to get this money, but we're not going to talk about that because that's not important to the story.
What are the stories?
So,
you got it.
It's this big envelope full of cash. Well, of course, the bully's interested in this. And he even thinks to himself, he's like, no matter what, I could just kill this kid and take the money if I wanted to. So, sure, I'll show up. Why not? I'm way bigger than him. This is going to be great.
You're basically setting a trap for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, he shows up at night in this, like, abandoned park kind of thing. And Yami's there, and he's just waiting. And I should state that he looks pretty similar to Yugi, but they do change the art style to symbolize that this is Yami, not Yugi.
You know the difference when you're watching /
exactly.
reading.
So he's like, you and me, I have all that money, but you and me, we're going to play a game for it. Because Yami was known back in ancient times as the king of games.
Okay.
Nobody could beat him. And
he put himself into a puzzle.
It did not matter what the game was. It could be something he'd never played before and he would win. Even if it was the best person in the world at that game, he would still beat them. He was the king of games. That was his whole thing.
Yeah.
Which made him, he was very good with strategy because of that.
Is this a world of magic and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, when I talked about those evil spirits, yeah, that shit's real. Demons are a thing.
We're not just talking about some creature being like, evil's within you.
No, there's dark force, and we're about to get into that.
Okay, I'll be patient.
So, this guy shows up, he's got his knife, he's doing the creepy lean on the, like, benches kind of stuff waiting for him. Or not waiting for him, but as he's like, alright, so we're gonna play a game. I'm going to take this cash, and we're going to take turns, putting it on top of our hand. Then we're going to need only the money and that knife that you have to play this game.
Were they playing the knife game? Were they playing the knife game?
It's a little different than what you're probably thinking. So you put the stack of cash on your hand, and then you take the knife and you stab into the stack of cash.
Without stabbing
yourself. However many bills you pull away is how many you get to keep. So that's like, the goal is, if you stab your hand, you lose everything. If you end up stabbing into your, if you, I think it's like first blood, you lose. It's a pretty, it's an interesting game. So the bully goes first, and he stabs super fucking hard down because he's nuts. It's kind of crazy. Super hard. And he comes up with like almost half the stack of money. still attached to the knife. And he's like, all right, I did really good. I got this. So Yami goes, he stabs into the stack, and he only comes away with like 3 or 4 bills.
Okay.
And he's like, it was like a little bit harder than I was expecting to stab into it, especially like the amount of force that was required was a lot. You obviously have the advantage in this game. And he's like, yeah, I do. So, and the entire time we're kind of also hearing the bully's monologue of, I'm totally, like, no matter what, this guy's not walking out with any of this money.
Kid is screwed.
Yeah, like, I'm having fun with this, and so this is interesting for me, and I'm going to keep doing this, but I'm going to keep all this money. Like, he's not getting any of it. So he goes to stab down again, except something happens that he wasn't expecting. He can't really control his hand. As he goes to, like, stab down, he can't control the pressure that he's applying. And Yami's just smiling. He's like, oh, having some trouble, are we? He's like, I think you've missed the point of this game. and the guy's like looking at him, he's freaking out, he's sweating. He's like, what do you mean the point of this game?
This just became so ominous so fast.
And we start to see that the area around the park has started to get darker. And you can't see past, like, the edge of the park. And he's like, you probably didn't notice as you were blinded by your own greed, but unbeknownst to you, I have put us in a realm known as the Shadow Realm for this game. And in a Shadow Realm game, all is on the board. So your own greed and your avarice has drawn your hand to its own fate. Go ahead, stab down. If you do, you won't be able to control the amount of pressure that you put down on that knife. So if you want to lose your hand, by all means, feel free. And the guy's like, I forfeit. He's like, oh, good. Fantastic. He's like, I'm just going to kill you. And he tries to grab the knife and stab Yami. He's like, now, another thing you probably don't know about the Shadow World, or the Shadow Realm, is if you lose a game, you're forfeiting not only the game, but your soul. And he holds out a hand and he just goes, mind crush. And the guy just, like, starts drooling. And then he sees money everywhere. So he starts, like, we have this moment where he kind of, like, blacks out for a second. And then he comes to, and it's like Midas. Everything's made out of gold. And money is raining from the sky. And then we go back to Yami's perspective, and he's watching this guy basically flail around in a pile of leaves as he thinks it's money. And he walks away. He's like, I think my job's done here. This person is now permanently fucked in the head. And we will, as time goes on, see Yami's victims, I'm going to call them victims because they are, in the mental institution for the things that he does to them.
And is it that way in the manga too, where they're just...
That's the manga. So
the manga, okay.
This didn't happen in the anime.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure the bully kind of stops after Joey shows up. Because it's just more of it's for kids. This is not a scary thing. Yugi does still do the mind crush thing, but a lot of the time in the anime, but a lot of the times it kind of just helps the person stop being a dick.
Oh, that's
for the most
great.
part.
That's nice.
Instead of the things that it does in the anime. Or in the manga. So the manga is creepy. It's dark. It's scary. And once again, we have seen no cards at all. Like no Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the manga at all at this point. So that's kind of like the beginning.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of an introduction to Yu-Gi-Oh. The manga will then kind of continue on in various situations. Yami will come out when he's needed, and he'll play a game.
Okay.
And these games are pretty creative. I really enjoyed reading the manga because it was so much better than the anime as an adult. I was like, holy shit. Like, there's an escaped convict at one point who ends up basically holding up a restaurant that his other friend Taya works at and taking her as a hostage.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he's got a gun. And he's basically holding it to her head like, I want this and this and this. And Yugi kind of conks out and Yami shows up, and he's like, let's play a game.
He's like,
And the guy's like, what the fuck? So it's really, really cool kind of how he keeps choosing to, or how he always gets that one up on the villains. Like at one point, there's this reporter guy who is treating Joey and Tristan like thugs, and he's doing like he has a camera and he's recording everything that they're doing, but he's editing it to make them seem like terrible people.
Yeah.
I want to say in once again, keep in mind this is really dark, so if you're afraid of like dark topics and stuff like that,
warnings in the descriptions.
I think he's basically making it look like Joey is raping someone. He's not. There is none of that going on, but he edits the voices, he edits all the footage and everything, and he's basically using it to blackmail these kids. Like, you'll let me do whatever the fuck I want to, or else I'm going to make it look like you're doing all this awful stuff and it's going right on the news. So, once again, Yami comes out for a game.
I don't know if you have anything specific in mind that you wanted to talk about, but I would love to hear more about these games, because I love games.
Yes, so, okay, so, let's...
Because the anime was just a lot of cards.
Exactly, it's cards. So let's talk about what he does to the photo guy.
Okay.
It's a super basic concept for this game. And all of these are generally basic concepts. Like the knife thing was super like not complicated.
No.
But what happened was so he approaches the film guy in a parking lot, like an underground parking garage. And he's like, "Hey, want to play a game?" And the guy's like, "Who the fuck you. Like, I'm not going to do that." He's like, "Well, I've got quite a bit of useful information for you if you're willing to play a game for me for it. So how about this? If I win, you have to leave my friends alone. If you win, you can have all the information that I have for all these juicy, like, gossip stuff." And the guy's like, "Okay, well, no matter what," and once again, we hear a lot of inner monologue, "no matter what, I'll just, like, force him to do it anyway. And I still won't leave his friends alone no matter what."
Right, a lot of these guys are just sleazeballs.
They're terrible. Like, all of these people are terrible. The things he does to them, once again, are terrible, but I don't think he ever kills anyone in it. But anyway.
At least they're not dead.
So he's like, "This is super simple." And he just pulls out a 6-sided die from his pocket. He's like, "We're both going to take turns rolling this. And whoever gets the highest number wins. I'll even give you the advantage of, in the event of a tie, you'll win." So the guy's like, "Okay, that seems pretty straightforward."
Yeah.
So he takes the die, and once again, we start to see the edges of this now underground parking lot get a little darker as he's transported to the Shadow Realm. Because that's what Yami loves to do, is take people to the fucking Shadow Realm.
Yami's will be like, do, these all will have pesos.
Yep. So, so the guy rolls, and he gets a 6.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So he's like, "Well, I win. Like, there's no way, because even if he gets a 6, I still win." So the guy's like, I haven't rolled yet." And so he's like, "Okay, sure, go ahead and roll." So he rolls, and he throws it on the ground. As he does, the die splits in half. 6 and a 1.
That's fucking rude.
And he's just like, "Oh, seems I've rolled a 7. Are you ready for your punishment?" So he's like, "You really like to censor people and mess with how their life works." He's like, "Let's see how you like." And so the guy's eyes start getting blurry. And you know how they put like the blurry stuff on videos to stop you from censorship bar?
Did they?
His whole eyes, like, it pans out and shows his face.
Basically blinded him?
His eyes are basically replaced with that same kind of texture, as he cannot see. Everything is now censored.
Oh my god!
And he just walks away.
Look, I'm sure investigative journalists in real life aren't terrible people, but as somebody who is an avid investigative journalist hater from shows like true crime shows and horror movies, what a punishment.
So
Damn.
then let's do the criminal.
Yes. Tell me more.
So this guy sits down. He's right across from Yugi, now Yami, and he's got Taya in one arm, kind of as he is holding the gun to her head. And they just brought him a bottle of single malt scotch.
Okay.
Because that's one of the things he requested. And a pack of Lucky Strikes.
Okay.
That's his favorite cigarette brand. He's also, this guy's nuts. He's kind of bald. He's got the tattoo 777 right across his forehead. They really, because he's very superstitious is his thing.
Okay.
And so Yami's like, how about this? Let's play a game. If I win, you let my friend go. And you leave this place. If you win, you can kill me. And the guy's like, "Oh, this is great! Like, I can kill you no matter what. So let's do this. This is fantastic. Yeah, like I'm a criminal. I don't have to play by your rules. Yeah, sure. I just got out of prison. I could use some entertainment. Why not? Let's do this. I love to gamble. This is gonna be great."
Games are the perfect outlet for this guy because what person is like thinking to themselves, yes, me playing a children's game or something akin to that, me gambling with this person is going to like. I guess the biggest thing was about like he has to get them to accept playing with them is the biggest
so far. Yeah,
so far.
Yeah. So basically, and keep in mind everything that he's done so far has been through the power of that Millennium Object. So he's got the Millennium Puzzle. Good information for later.
Very good information
anyway,
for later.
So he's been using the Millennium Puzzle to send these people to the Shadow Realm.
Oh, so he's using the Millennium Puzzle to do it. Okay.
So that's what gives him his power. That's what holds Yami's soul. That's what holds all the stuff. So without the Millennium Puzzle, Yugi's just Yugi.
Yeah.
But Yami
right.
is a little bit more crazy because he's an ancient pharaoh who's got all kinds of crazy magic.
They gave Yami magic.
Exactly.
Yugi is just a bitch.
So it's like, this game's going to be very simple.
Uh-huh.
All we're going to need is what we have already at our table. You're going to pick one hand, and you cannot use any other body part, really. So you got, like, your hand, you can move your arm and stuff, but other than that, that's all you can do. And then of that, you have to pick a number of fingers that you're allowed to actually, like, move as you want. So, and it's like, at the start of the game, you can't move anything else. So you have to pick one finger that you can move, and you pick like one hand, like arm, once again, movement there.
Yeah, so you're probably going to want to pick your dominant hand with like strongest finger maybe.
So Yugi, or Yami, Yami, he says, "I will pick my right hand." And he's like, "And I choose my thumb to be able to move." And the guy's like, "Okay, all right. I'm going to pick my left hand, or no, his right hand, and I'm going to pick my index finger so I can pull the trigger on the gun." And he's like, "That makes sense. That totally makes sense." So when this game starts, this is very important. He's holding the gun, pointing it at Yugi, so he can use this hand, this arm, and this finger.
So he's just locked in
now. He's basically staying just like this.
He can't let go of the gun now, though, too.
Yeah, he can't let go of the gun. So, Yami is like, and he's using his other hand at the time to pour the scotch into a cup that they brought him, like a diner cup. So he's like, awesome. So, and he's got like an unlit cigarette in his mouth.
Okay.
These are all very important facets of this story.
Yeah, this is like, these are the pieces to the game that you need in order to play it.
So he's holding the unlit cigarette in his mouth, he's got the gun in his hand, and he's pouring scotch. So Yami's like, well, you can shoot me at any time, so how about this? I've got the use of my thumb. And his hand is basically cupped into it like a bear paw.
Okay, so it's not quite closed.
Yeah, not quite closed, but it's like this. So he picks up the lighter with his hand like this, and the guy's like, "Yeah, since I'm about to kill you anyway, how about you light my cigarette for me? Because I can't light my cigarette while we're playing this game anyway." So he's like, "All right, yeah, sure." So he flicks open the lighter, turns it on, lights the guy's cigarette, and then while the lighter is still lit, it's one of those flick lighters, he places it on the barrel of the gun. Now, remember when I said the Shadow Realm doesn't really let you do certain things? He's still pouring the malt liquor. And he can't stop. It is now overflowed onto his lap. So Yami's like, you could shoot the gun, but if you do, the recoil will probably drop that lighter. And that's, like really high proof alcohol. So chances are you're going to catch on fire if you do that.
Right now we're just hearing the inner monologue of the criminal. It's like, why can't I move my hands?
Exactly. That is exactly. Yes. He's just like, wait. No, that's not what's going on. I should fuck this kid. And he's like, so you've got a choice to make. He's like, do you pull the trigger and thus the lighter falls and lights you on fire, killing us both? Or do you try and move the lighter so that it doesn't actually fall into your lap? Choices. And as he's doing this, it continues. It's still pouring, so it's getting more and more soaked in alcohol. So, he basically freaks out, doesn't know what to do, and he's not steady with his gun hands. The lighter drops, and he fully catches on fire.
So, what do the people in the diner see? Does it show you that, or does it just show you the shadow?
They get to see everything that's happening, and Taya's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Because she knows Yugi.
And
she's like, that's something. Something's up here.
That's not Yugi.
Because he still looks the same, but she's like, she comments a lot on the fact she's like, he's smiling, like he's enjoying this. He's playing with this grown serial killer. Like this is insane.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the things that tips them off into like the beginning.
I wish the anime was as cool as the manga because I want to watch this. I don't want to read it, but I want to watch it.
It's really cool. I actually have the first couple issues of the Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay,
manga.
I might have to read it because these games sound fun. That's crazy. So everybody else who's not in the Shadow Realm playing the game just sees this guy pouring the alcohol and they're like, why isn't he stopping?
Exactly. Yep. Sometimes, like, the rules of the Shadow Realm do change dependent on what's going on. So sometimes it's kind of one of those, like, you will not... It's like a Jedi mind trick. Like, you won't pay attention to what's going on here. This won't seem weird.
So is Yugi the one who is consciously making people play these games? Or is Yami already taken over that
Yami takes over.
So he's fully taken over when he's like, hey, want to go play a game with me?
Yeah, want to play a game?
Oh god, that's so creepy. Are those the only ones you remember from the manga?
Those are the only three. I only got that far.
Okay.
So that's kind of, but everything that he does, like there's no cards involved. Like he doesn't play that.
Because, like, I guess the thing that I'm wondering, because obviously in animes it's always like, you found the opponent who might beat you, but you've already pre-established that Yami can't lose a game. It's just something that happens. So is there ever a moment like that where it's like, and obviously I would be more interested in the manga personally, but that's just because we're adults. I'm not a kid and consuming this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't read that far, so it's like, is there any moment, I guess, in the anime where it's like this big moment where it's like, or is it never canonical in the anime that Yami just always wins?
So in the anime, Yami loses once that I can remember.
Okay.
And I want to say it's in like season 5. Something crazy like that. I watched a lot of this, by the way. Not everything, because there were movies.
Right.
And there were also the TV series. Then there was spin-off TV series after the original, because it was Yu-Gi-Oh! And then it was like, I want to say there was like 3 or 4 movies that were Yu-Gi-Oh! And then after that, there was Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which I want to say had 3 or 4 seasons. Then after that, there was like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal or something like that. Like, it gets crazy. They're on motorcycles. It's this whole thing.
So is it like a magical thing where it's like it's canonical that for some random magic reason Yami will always win a fight, or is it just that he's really that good?
He's really that good.
So okay, so he's capable of being beat.
Yes.
So it's like, so when he rolled the D6 and the D6 one, basically he's like, I'm going to roll this perfectly so that it chops itself in half.
Yeah.
Type of thing?
In the manga, he actively just knows. But it's also like he's cheating.
Yeah, it's
because these people have no idea what they're walking into. It's like going into a game knowing only half the rules and going up against somebody who's done this for years and years. Because before the game even starts, you're telling yourself, "I've already won," and he's like, "No, you haven't. I've already won." So like,
because it's also like he's whipping you off into a astral realm that you don't even know exists that has different rules.
Yep.
Like, because you were saying, like he said, like the shadow realm changes physics based off of your actions, is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
So since the rule of the game was you can't move the other hand, he couldn't move the other hand.
Yep. And so, but it started right when he was pouring. So he already had all this figured out in his mind. He's like, I know exactly what's going to happen. This guy's going to ask me to light his cigarette. I'm going to light it. I'm going to put it on the barrel. He's going to be fucked.
He's playing the
but he already
chessiest
knows.
of chess.
Yeah, he's playing like 5D chess. This guy is nuts.
The second he took over Yugi's body, he timed everything. He's like, I'm going to wait approximately 30 seconds before I stand up, and I'm going to interrupt this person, and they're going to take about 45 seconds to respond, and by that time...
Yep. So he's got, like, and to be fair, that's kind of what they make the Millennium Puzzle out to be, is all of them have their own powers.
Mm-hmm.
The Millennium Puzzle kind of has that, like, strategic mind aspect to it, where it's like the person who has the Millennium Puzzle is generally just the master strategist of it.
Yeah, because this isn't any jigsaw puzzle that any Mo, Dick, Larry person
could put together.
This is a mind game that you have to be intelligent enough to figure out how it works. It's like the towel challenge, which I want to do with you, by the way.
Towel challenge.
Yeah, what you do is you it's on the topic of games, so I'm going to explain it to you.
Okay.
It's a couples challenge where basically you take, it doesn't have to be a towel, it could be the blankets, it could be a towel, but you basically take it in one hand, and then so one person holds it like this, and then the second person puts their towel through the other person's towel and holds on to it the same way, but basically your towels are interlocked with each other now, and you have to interlock the towels without letting go of the towel. So you have to move around each other's bodies to, like, basically untangle it.
Nice. Okay, that's really interesting. That would be fun to do. So yes, that's kind of the difference that we start to see in the manga versus the anime. Is at this point the anime has already gone into the cards.
Yeah.
It's already started to, like, be a big thing of the game. Or of the anime. In the manga, that hasn't happened. Like, it's very big on the, like, he's playing with, like, grown adults, and he's just fucking with them.
He's making up the rules to the game as the situation's happening.
Yeah, the guy who, like, the convict, you eventually later see him, he is flayed. He burned all of the skin off of his body. He's still alive. He's in a hospital with a lot of Yugi's or Yami's other victims. So we see the avarice guy. We see, like, you get to see all these people. They're still kicking. He just tortured the shit out of these people.
They're in this hospital because one dude is trying to spend leaves as dollars. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, so in the anime, he loses once, but it's more like when he does, there's a big story reason as to why he does. And a lot of the time, he has crazy plot armor. So he'll win in ways that he shouldn't, and in ways that the game in real life does not allow you to do. So, like, he has his deck, right?
Yeah.
The very first, like, I want to say episode, maybe it's like a two-parter, he goes up against this guy called Seto Kaiba. Seto Kaiba in the anime is his main rival. I don't know if they get to that in the manga. I only read, like, the first 2 issues, and it goes a lot slower.
Yeah.
So he ends up meeting this guy, Seto Kaiba. He goes to school with him, which is like, what the fuck? Because Seto Kaiba's like a billionaire.
Okay.
And he owns a gaming company.
Okay.
And he's obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Okay.
That's his whole thing. And he's got these very rare cards called the Blue Eyes White Dragons. Anybody who has anyone who's heard about Yu-Gi-Oh probably knows about Blue Eyes White Dragons.
I've heard about this because of you. Because you have one.
So in the Yu-Gi-Oh universe,
Uh-huh.
only 4 Blue Eyes White Dragons exist.
Okay.
At all. He's got 3 of them.
Uh-huh.
Yugi's grandfather has 1.
Of course he does. I knew it. I knew it.
So, this is one of the things we're going to start to see. I'm going to try to make this make sense, and it's not going to because the amount of plot holes here are for children. This billionaire has Yugi's grandfather kidnapped.
Oh, that makes sense.
So that he can duel him in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh, or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and basically take his Blue Eyes White Dragon from him.
So he's basically kidnapping an old man so that he can challenge him to a duel, because if he didn't earn the Blue Eyes White Dragon, then it doesn't count.
Yes. So he then calls Yugi to show up at, like, basically Kaiba Tower to pick up his grandfather, because somehow losing a children's card game caused him to become infirm, like enfeeble. So Yugi gets up there with his friends Joey, Taya, and Tristan.
His grandfather became?
Yeah, his grandfather is like physically injured somehow by losing a game of cards. Don't ask me how. Then we're gonna get, once again, this is not supposed to make sense.
No,
it's
this
for
is
kids.
kids game, kids show.
So he shows up and gotta avenge Grandpa.
Yep.
And he takes his grandfather's deck to beat Kaiba with. Kaiba basically, in front of Yugi, shows the blue eyes he just won and rips it in half. His grandfather's prize card, prize possession, and he rips it in half. Because he did show up to the game store earlier on trying to buy it. And he was like, no, I'm not going to let you buy it. This is not available for any price. And he's like, okay, I'll come back. And then he kidnaps him.
The way my soul just left my body when you said he ripped it in half.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me this card has been avenged.
So, this is like, I want to say it's a 2-part episode for the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! He ends up starting to duel Kaiba.
Yeah.
There is no card in his grandfather's deck that can deal with Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah.
It's too powerful. So Kaiba does some bullshit, and this is illegal. You can't do this in the game. He summons 3 Blue Eyes in like 1 turn. Just boom, boom, boom. 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. And he's basically getting ready to fully wipe the floor with Yugi's ass. And beat him. And he's like, alright, you have 1 more turn. Draw your pathetic card, Yugi. And this is like a big thing that's known in the community. He's like, my grandfather's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba. And he draws the card. He's like, but it does have the legendary Exodia, which is a thing in the game where if you have all 5 pieces, there's like there's both the legs, the arms, and the head of Exodia. If you have all 5 of them in your hand, you win. It doesn't matter what the game is. It doesn't matter, like, if your opponent's about to kill you. It doesn't matter what they have on the field. It doesn't matter if they have trap cards, etc., etc. It does not fucking matter.
He got lucky.
Yeah, he's like, I believe in my grandfather's deck, Kaiba. And he pulls the thing, and he's like, Exodia, obliterate! And keep in mind, billionaire, Kaiba has invested a shit ton of money into making this game able to produce holograms. So he has a whole battlefield set up where it's like 1 person goes here, 1 person goes here. When you play a card, it renders a 3D image of that monster, and they go at it and they fight.
That is so hot. I want that table.
It's like a football field. It's like a stadium. Like 1 person over here, 1 person over here.
I thought it was like a table.
No, like when I summon a card, it fully shows up huge, and they fight. And yeah, and it's like, I'm going to put this person in defense mode, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, it's a big thing of, like, figuring out how they can still project these images and stuff. So, we see Yugi beat Kaiba. And it's the only time Kaiba's ever lost.
He's a filthy, dirty, rich cheater.
Exactly. So he beats him, and I think that's it. Like, I think he just kind of walks away, like, deuces, and he just flips him off and just, like, walks away. Doesn't flip him off, but, it's a children's show. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But he brings back the shredded remains of his grandfather's favorite card, and his grandfather's, like, in a bed, like, after being taken out with oxygen. Yeah. From losing some children's card game. And he's like, I got your thing back for you, and here's your deck. And he's like, no, keep it, Yugi. You need this now. I'm fine. I'm retiring. I'm blah 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 blah. So his grandfather still owns a like game shop,
Huh?
but he wasn't a duelist in the first. Like there's so many plot holes. Don't come for me in the comments, okay? Rewatch the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't think it has any plot holes.
The manga. So is there even a Yumi in
Yami? Yes.
Yami.
Yeah, same thing, right? He fixes the puzzle. Yami shows up, but Yami shows up for duels most of the time because it's a game. And so Yami's spirit shows up for those, but it's not let's go to the Shadow Realm and I'm gonna fuck you up.
It's Yugi. He's gonna talk to Yugi in his head and be like, "Play this card."
Yeah, he actually like changes physically, and his voice gets deep because it's like, I'm a teenage boy, and then it's like, hello, Kaiba, I've come to duel you. And it's like, wait, what? Like, people have made the joke. People have 100% made the joke that All Might is just like shitty, like Yu-Gi-Oh, or Yugi is shitty All Might. But so he mind crushes Kaiba. I forgot about that. He does mind crush Kaiba after they leave, and it's like, basically like, look at yourself, Kaiba. Look at the monster that you've become.
Be a better guy.
Be a better person. That's what you'll see. When I said he mind crushes people in the anime and they just become better people, that's kind of the goal.
God, I want the more manga. We gotta buy more of the Yu-Gi-Oh manga because you'll have to read it and regurgitate it to me. Because I love the mind. It's basically the difference between an omnipotent, basically a god, who trapped his magical essence inside of a fucking puzzle. Basically, Sherlock Holmes level and more geniusing manipulating situations so that he can just fuck with people.
Yeah.
Fuck with shitty people versus somebody who's really good at playing Magic the Gathering. This is my grandpa's deck from the original Magic the Gathering, and he won and beat 3 of the Blue Eyes White Dragons.
Yes. That is a lot of it. Now, I know that in the anime we get to see a lot of the Millennium items pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first ones we actually get to see is the Millennium Eye.
Okay.
This guy called Maximilian Pegasus has it.
Fabulous name. Great name choice right there. Wow, Yu-Gi-Oh!
It might not be canon that no, it's not canon that he is. He sounds so gay.
Oh my god.
Like, the voice, I don't know if it was supposed to be this, but it's so funny. I'm not even kidding. The way he talks is, hello, Yugi boy. That is a pretty common thing for Maximilian Pegasus.
It was like, it's like the old animes, like the 2000s anime, who needed the flamboyant male character.
Yes.
Who's into other boys.
But he's not, because he's grieving his wife. He's 100% straight. It's canon that he's straight. Maximilian Pegasus is straight, but he 100% sounds so flamboyantly gay. Like, he sounds like a hairdresser from the 80s. It's so funny. He's like, hello, Yugi boy.
Maybe he's bisexual.
Maybe.
Or pansexual.
Who knows?
He's exploring.
He's exploring the space. So we do get to see like that. We get to see the Millennium Ring. We get to see the Millennium Rod. All this stuff, and they do each have like their own powers.
Yeah.
Like we find out the Millennium Eye lets Pegasus see other people's cards.
Yeah.
So he cheats. So you can always see what they have in their hand, and he knows where they're going to play and do.
Maximilian Pegasus, you dirty little fuck.
And he is a millionaire. Like, he has shit tons of money. Maybe not as much money as Kaiba, but
he's
same kind of idea.
This fucking teenager just playing cards with millionaires over and over again for funsies.
So,
iconic.
I think to start season 2, or maybe even to start like season 1, I forget exactly what's going on, or like canonically, but I know this is the next thing.
Yeah,
After he
chronological order.
beats Kaiba, he gets a videotape in the mail. VHS, by the way, should date this show.
Oh my god, it's so vintage.
And he puts it in the VHS player to see what it is. It's from Maximilian Pegasus, this crazy entrepreneur that has shit tons of money. Like, and he wants to talk to Yugi, so he sent him this VHS tape. So basically, right as it goes in, it puts everybody in the Shadow Realm.
What?
And it freezes them. So it's got Taya, Joey, Tristan, his grandpa, and Yugi all kind of sitting in the living room. And they all just stop. And Yugi's like, what the fuck?
Yugi's
What's going on?
Been here before, technically, but
Yeah.
not like this.
And Pegasus is like, I've heard about your Millennium Puzzle, Yugi boy. And so he's like, I'm gonna be throwing a little dueling soiree on my private island.
Is he trying to get his wife back with the puzzle?
With all of the Millennium items is eventually what Pegasus, I believe, is trying to do. But he's like, I'm throwing a little soiree, a little dueling tournament on my private island, and I just to make sure that you do come. And he holds up a card, and Yugi's grandfather's soul gets sucked into the cards. And he's like, if you want this back, you'll have to come to my island and come to beat me in a duel, Yugi boy. And so he's like, until then, toodles, and he, like, leaves. And that's, like, the whole thing. And he falls into a coma. Like, Yugi's grandfather falls into a coma because Maximilian Pegasus stole his soul.
That's what the eye does?
Yeah. It's one of the effects at the very least. Just like the Millennium Puzzle lets him, yep.
Huh. Jeez, he just got his grandpappy back.
Yep.
From an intense battle.
Yep. Just to have his soul stolen by this crazy, like, flamingo man.
His soul sucked.
But
after the Blue Lights by Dragon was cut in half too,
yep.
This family's going through it.
Yep. It's crazy. He ends up going to, I want to say it's like Battle Island or something crazy like that. Like, it's super basic.
Did Yuki have parents, or was he just with his grandfather?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the story for why his parents aren't in the picture. I don't think it's really, like, commented on a whole bunch.
Oh.
It's just, he's just with his grandpa. That's about it.
Okay. I was just wondering if they were, like, there, because...
So also around this time, Joey ends up getting a video message of his own.
Oh.
From his sister.
Oh.
Serenity.
They're sending a lot of video messages for this having to be on VHS.
Right? Yeah.
This isn't like FaceTime. This isn't you can pick for because there are kids out there who don't know this.
Yeah.
This isn't you pick up a phone and you have a camera at your fingertips. This is you set up a video recorder and then you put a tape inside of it and then you close the tape and then you click record on this big clunky device.
Yeah, that's like half the size of an actual TV.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically it's her telling him that this is probably the last time she's ever going to be able to see, because her eyesight is failing. And so she's going blind. And so it's like, she's basically like, they can't afford the treatment. It's really expensive, but I just want you to know that, I love you, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's basically a plot hook for why Joey needs to go to this duel tournament as well and join up for the prize money that they're going to be giving.
Oh, so it's a prize money. He's like, I gotta get this so my sister can get her eyeball treatments.
Exactly.
They have eyeball surgeries that worked in the 90s?
Great question. Probably not. In the anime they did. But yeah, so basically they all end up going to the island except this little shit fucker called Weevil Underwood, who runs a bug deck.
These names.
On the boat to Battle Island, is like, hey, you got a really cool deck, Yugi. Mind if I check it out? And Yugi's like, sure.
Steals his shit, doesn't he?
Sure, I'll do it. And Weevil's like, cool, thanks. Say goodbye to Exodia. And he takes out all of the Exodia cards from Yugi's deck and he throws them into the ocean.
Yugi, you...
Dumb fuck. Yeah. So now without Exodia...
I'm stressed for Yugi's well-being. Yugi's a fucking dumbass. Anyways.
I guess... I don't know if Yugi loses then, too. He might actually lose another time.
But it's like a best 2 out of 3 thing, right?
No, I don't. It's just it doesn't matter. It's an it doesn't matter match between him and Seto Kaiba again.
Oh, it's like we're doing this for fun before the tournament type of thing?
Like almost at the end, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty close. They're both like up on getting ready to go into Pegasus like final chamber for the finals. And he's like, you and me, we're having a rematch, Yugi. And he's about...
Is Kaiba in it too? Is he a tournament
He's in
player?
the tournament, yeah. He's in the fucking tourney. But basically he... And this is... There's so much of this that doesn't make sense, so just always bear that in mind. The things that I say won't always make sense, but that's what happens in the thing. He is about to lose, and so he steps over to the edge of this cliff.
Seto Kaiba?
Yeah. And he's like, go ahead, Yugi. Attack my monster. Defeat me. If you do, the shockwave will send me over this cliff, surely to my death.
I'd play that fucking card in a heartbeat. Oh, no. I call your poker face, bitch.
I call your bluff. So there's a few, like, fun characters in it. This is the first introduction of a character called My Valentine.
Oh.
Because her name's Mai, and last name Valentine.
That's so dumb.
M-I-A, My.
I get it. I see how it happened. I still think it's a little dumb, but it's cute. It's cute.
So
I'll give
she's
it that.
in it. Rex Raptor.
God, these names! Good. I'm digging them. Even My Valentine.
Weevil Underwood, Bandit Keith.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite so far. Is he short? Please tell me he's short.
No,
Damn
he's
it.
an American.
Oh,
And he goes around wearing an American flag bandana.
Oh.
And he's got a biker vest and shirt and everything.
No.
It's very much America.
I wanted him to be a short king with a big old hat.
Yeah, that's Rex Raptor. Rex Raptor is short with a big hat. Yeah. You called it.
Cowboy Keith! Cowboy Keith with the short guy with the big old cowboy hat!
Bandit Keith.
Oh, you know what? Bandit is still pretty good. Cowboy Keith...
He ends up in the finals. Yeah, Bandit Keith makes it all the way to the finals.
Oh, I would have been happier if it was Raptor, because I love a short Keith.
He's
with
like
a big
one
hat.
of the first guys to get fucked up, but yeah, he does make it to the finals.
Is he a pervert? All the short ones are always perverts.
He's not. Oh, Rex?
Yeah. The short ones are always perverts.
A little bit. So he does end up getting fully beaten by My Valentine, I think. Because
is he a pervert the whole time while he's getting beaten up by her?
Well, so when I say beat him up, she seduces him and steals his fucking cards.
Oh!
Like, so she cheats.
Jesus!
She cheats a lot. Like, even when she's actively playing the game, she cheats because she puts perfume on her cards. And she uses the smell to know what she's gonna draw.
Jesus Christ. That's really fucking smart, though.
And she lies and gets in people's heads by telling them that she's a psychic. And she's like, I know exactly what I'm going to draw next. And I know exactly what I'm going to play. And I know what you're going to draw. And I know what you're going to play. And she doesn't. But she is able to convince a lot of people of just like, holy shit, how does she know? Oh, fuck, she knew I draw this. Or
Look, I know that that's cheating. I realistically know that that's cheating. But is it cheating if you're just really strategic and smart about it? That is so smart. That is just so smart. That's for sure cheating. And it's bad. But it's really smart, and I have to give credit for that.
I want to say her and Joey actually end up having a thing in later seasons.
Does he get the money for his sister's eyeball surgery?
He does. Well, he loses the tournament, but Yugi wins, and he gives Joey the money to win. He does end up getting, like, top 3, actually. Joey ends up having to fight Yugi, and he loses, and he gets, like, 3rd place, because then it's Pegasus versus Yugi.
So, Pegasus is basically the big bad evil guy. At this point.
Of the first season.
Of the first season?
Yeah, it might be the second, I don't remember, but it's something along those lines. I think it's the first season.
Do they go around recruiting people who they were enemies with once?
There's stuff, yeah. Kaiba is definitely an on-again, off-again ally enemy thing. Pegasus, I think, even ends up becoming like a kind of like... I'm not gonna say like a great dude,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, everything that he's doing was to attempt to bring back his dead wife. So there's a
It's
question of like, is it morally okay?
it's the bad guy with the right reason, you know?
What they don't know is there's another person in the tournament that also has a Millennium item.
Did Pegasus know that? Or
I don't think Pegasus did because I think this guy cheated. I think he got into the island he wasn't supposed to. He like mugged some fucker because in this tournament the way that you win and kind of progress to the next round is you start off with these things called star chips and everybody has two. And you have a gauntlet that holds star chips.
Okay.
Every time you duel someone, you can wager star chips.
Okay.
So if I have like 5, I can say, all right, hey, I bet you 2 star chips I can beat you. And the guy's like, all right, I have 2 star chips. I'll bet you 2 I can beat you. If I win, I take your star chips. If you get 10, you go on to the next round.
Okay.
So
And
it's
is
kind
it
of
like
process elimination.
Okay, love it, love it, love it.
So a lot of people bet safe early on. They're like, all right, I bet you 1 star chip I can beat you.
Somebody
They
wants
lose,
to
they
go
still have 1.
crazy, do like 5-5, be like, I'm figuring out right now if I'm winning or losing.
Yep. Like
And
that's
does the other person have to match the highest bet, or
they have if they're gonna accept, they have to have as much unless the other person chooses to allow them to bet with less. So it's
Right.
like if I have 5 and they have 2, I can still take their 2.
I was more wondering if you have 5 and the other person has 5, and you're like, I want to bet 5. Does the other person have to match your bet, or
Yep.
can they choose a different number?
And yes, and once again, unless the person says otherwise. So if I challenge you and I've got 5 and you got 5, you have to match my 5, or I have to say it's okay that you bet less than my 5 that I bet you.
So I feel like the most strategic thing to do would be like right off the bat, be like, I bet you 5, and the other person has to match you, unless
you only have
you
2.
give them permission. Oh, you only have 2 to start out with. I thought you said you had 5.
No, I
to
think you
start
only
out
have 2 at the very start.
Oh, okay. I don't know why. I mean, I was just thinking of the Infinity Gauntlet or something.
But yeah, so that's kind of the way that they do the first little bit is so Joey has to get 10 and so does Yugi. Yugi has to get 10. So it's kind of oh, who's going to get what and how many are you going to get?
Yeah, because there's basically just like a pool.
Yep.
And as people go out, they're going to be less and less to
exactly
go around. Ooh, that's fun.
It was really interesting. It was a very fun, like, obviously Kaiba gets into the finals, Yugi gets into the finals, Joey gets in the finals.
I really do love the concept of that, of like they're playing games for things. I really, really love the manga version, I think. Because it's just the idea of like, I'm going to be fucking over bad guys, and the repercussion is that they go insane, you know?
Because I want to say the next tournament that they end up doing is just a tournament that Kaiba puts on.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Battle City.
Okay.
And it is an entire city full of like the normal people that live there and the shops and stuff, but also duelists.
Okay.
And you have to get like so many wins. I think like you basically everybody gets a card, and it's like a locator card, is what it's called. And if you lose your locator card.
Not that direction.
Buckley, this way. Buckley, come here. If you lose your locator card.
Okay.
But if you manage to go that way.
Come on, Buckley.
Go that way. If you lose your locator card. Well, once you've gotten enough locator cards, they make a map showing you where to go.
Okay.
For the finish. There's one catch.
Uh-huh.
When you lose, you're out of the game. Also, whoever beat you gets your best card.
Best cards by their terms or best cards by your terms?
It's a kids game, so it's like a kids TV show, so it's best.
It's just literal best.
Yeah, it's like that's the best card you have.
We're not gonna go into the semantics of who gets to choose what the best card is.
Exactly. So it's like, for Kaiba, he's putting his blue eyes on the line. For Joey, he's putting his red eyes black dragon on the line. Yugi has to like put up his dark magician, all that fun stuff.
That's so cool.
So it was pretty cool.
That does sound fun. I do just like, I think I would love to see, because I would love to see where they go in the manga version of it, like where they take that. Because while that concept is fun, it's not like, it's just if you repeat it over and over and over again, it's not necessarily going to go anywhere. But I would love to see how they would have like rounded it out and like.
Yeah, well, he had to have like eventually come across the people with the Millennium items.
Yeah.
Like, you know that was a thing, and then it was a question of like, how did he get him? Would he get him back? Because in the anime, they try and say like, yeah, he was still a pharaoh, and they eventually find that out, and they kind of go about it a different way, but they do get to it. And they say, you know, we used to play Duel Monsters way back then. In like ancient times, except it was spirits of like guardians and stuff that we would send against the forces of evil that would come after our cities and stuff. So they play like the Blue Eyes White Dragon was a card, and it was a spirit that an ancient mage, which was Kaiba's ancestor, used to help the pharaoh because he was like the pharaoh's head wizard.
Interesting.
And so he would ride into battle on a giant dragon that would help them like fight off these evil spirits bent on destroying humanity.
That's cool.
So you know, like the anime gets a bit more serious. But it's as time goes on, and it's not as plot holy again as time goes on. But it takes a while, and there's a lot of crazy turns, and it's all about the card game.
It definitely just started off as a show to sell a card game.
Yep. Exactly.
And then as people actually cared.
Yeah. Well, because they were like, shit, we're making money hand over fist with this. Like, and they still are. Like I said, it had, I want to say 2 or 3 spin-offs from the original show, plus multiple movies that were done just of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, yeah. Like, that's kind of in a nutshell Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot. It kind of keeps going and going and going, and once they finally milked that dry, they made a spin-off, which was actually really cool because it was Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and I liked it a lot. It was basically a dueling camp.
Okay.
So being a duelist in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World is a job. That's a profession, something you can do.
Okay.
And this kid named Jaden Yuki. Yeah.
They're getting really close with some of these names. Just a lot of very similar sounds.
He basically goes to a tournament to determine if you're allowed into this dueling academy. Run by and funded by Seto Kaiba. Because at this point, they've all kind of retired, all that fun stuff. Well, he runs into this guy on his way to the tournament. And we would recognize this person if we saw him. This is Yugi. This is adult Yugi.
Okay.
And as he bumps into him, his cards kind of go everywhere, and he's kind of gathering. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm late for my exam. I got." And he's like, "Yeah. Oh, you seem to have dropped this as well." And he hands him an extra card that was not in his deck. And he ends up using that to win the exam tournament and get into the academy.
Oh shit.
Yep. It's really cool. And then it's basically just the story of Jaden Yuki at Dueling Academy with all of his friends and all the new cards that were coming out, of course, which they sold shit tons of, I'm sure. I bought some of them, so I know they did at least a little bit. Also, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the card game I played before I got into Magic the Gathering. But I never had anybody to play with, so I never really learned the rule, or it took me a really long time to learn the rules, and then I started playing Magic the Gathering because people I knew played it, and so I kind of just transitioned. Plus, at the time, you only got like 5 cards per pack that you bought for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ooh, that's rough.
At the exact same price of a Magic card pack, which gave you 15 cards and a guaranteed rare.
Yeah, that's rough. If you want to grow a collection, you're not going for Yu-Gi-Oh!
Nope.
But you did still get quite a collection.
I did. I actually have some cards that were only available for the promotion of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies. The Blue Eye Shining Dragon limited edition. You only got it if you actually bought the movie itself. It came in the DVD case.
That's super fun.
And then I got some recreated artwork of some of the original cards from the original set. The artist that did the original artwork for it picked, I want to say, 10 of his favorite cards from the original set, redid the artwork and signed them, and then put them in packs. And there was only a couple hundred of those packs ever released. And I got one.
Nice.
The Blue Eyes White Dragon was one of his favorite cards, so it got a full new artwork with a signature. It's really pretty.
That's awesome.
It's got like the moon in the background and the Blue Eyes White Dragon's like sitting on this big silver tower. It's really cool.
That's so cool.
But yeah, so that's Yu-Gi-Oh in a nutshell. Anybody who would like us to talk about any specifics of Yu-Gi-Oh, if you're a fan, let us know in the comments. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Nope. All right.
I'm shaking my head no for everybody who's wondering.
So with that, thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. If you enjoy what we do and you'd like to support us in a more personal way, go ahead and head on over to our Patreon. We have all kinds of fun little gifts and polls and stuff available for the people in the Patreon. If you want to have a vote on what we could be talking about in the upcoming future, check that out. So until then, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you again in the next episode. Bye!